Always, your killer phrase is keep thinking. Keep thinking that I made my promise. All the best. All the best.
I'll talk to
No es de Laura. Estoy en parte de computer. Me alegro. Un beso.
Seguro que se va a acordar. Ah, sí, solo tú. Queda hermoso. Bueno, ay, primera fila. ¿Listo? Ready?
official uniform.
Do again. Is there anyone for me?
Chris.
Okay. I love t-shirts.
Yeah.
So, how's your Spanish?
Bueno.
This is going to be in Spanish, right?
Of course.
Well, it's going to be fun.
By the way, I want to exchange the t-shirt for one of those things that you do.
Okay. It's going to be my partner, but hola, hola. ¿Me escuchan? Los del fondo. I'm going to speak a few words in Spanish, just to clarify that this is going to be in English, okay?
No problemo.
Great accent. So, in case you didn't read the invitation, this is going to be in English because Bowei is just starting to learn some Spanish slowly. So, welcome everyone. Just checking. Okay. Welcome everyone. This is Startup Grind. I'm Gonzalo Costa. I'm one of the founders of NXTP Labs. We love Startup Grind. It's a community of entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs. It was born, I think it was 3 years ago in Silicon Valley as a group of friends getting together and giving feedback and sharing experiences. And we love the concept. So we decided to be their partners here in Argentina. So we're very happy to host, I think this is our third or fourth? Third. So today Startup Grind is present in more than 30 cities in the US and abroad, so we are very happy to be part of this. So welcome, Bowei. Bowei is the founder of Cardmunch. I'm a big fan, big user.
Thank you.
You've made my life so much easier, seriously. So it's great to have you here. Pictures?
No, retake.
This is very formal, as you can see. So, Bowei, thanks to LinkedIn, I understand that you're an electrical engineer.
Yes.
That you've had a stint of work at Hewlett-Packard, Apple, and a few other companies. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sounds good. And first of all, I just want to say thank you to NXTP Labs, and then thank you to Argentina for hosting us. We feel very loved to be here. How do I say it? Mucho gusto.
Nice.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. So, I guess a little bit about my background. In case you guys can't tell, I'm actually not American. More like Chinese, like you. Chinese? Darn it. So loud. That joke works 50% of the time. Chinese? No? Yeah? Damn it. I'm usually better than this.
2 out of 3.
What? What's your 1? It's okay. Okay. Come on. I'm not very good today.
No more beer for you.
So I was born in China, and I went to the U.S. when I was about 12 years old. I studied in Carnegie Mellon University, and after that, I moved to Silicon Valley to chase my startup dreams. Fortunately, I was very lucky to get into a field of very big companies before my startup career. I was in a few companies, namely Hewlett-Packard. I was at AMD. I was at Apple. I was on the original team of Apple TV, and I see some of you guys have iPhone. I was on the original team of iPhone as well. I was very proud of that. And I was also at Oracle. These are the companies I worked at to give me some credibility. But the reason why I really got into startups is because my boss at the time, is from Apple. He kicked me out of the company because he said, when I was trying to ask him for a job, he said, "No, we're not going to give you a job here. You have way too many ideas, too many good ideas. It's going to be wasted if you stay at Apple. So you need to leave right now and build your own company." And that's how I got kicked out of Apple and started my first good company. I've started a few small things before, like that was not very good, and that was my first company. It was basically Instagram before Instagram. We did it before the App Store, so we had to jailbreak the phone and then do it. It was actually a hardware company. And we decided to pivot into a software company because when we released it, we were hoping for a few hundred users, the software. We ended up getting 800,000 users when there are only 3 million iPhones. And if you consider that you have to jailbreak your iPhone to use our software, we had close to about 100% of the penetration rate. So people kind of liked us. And when we finally got on App Store about a year later, we were, I think, in 2 weeks we made about $250,000, and that's what gave me enough confidence to start my next company, Cardmunch. And 13 months after that, I ended up selling it to LinkedIn. What I didn't know.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
So slow your pace.
Okay.
So talking about Cardmunch, where did you get the idea for the company? And also, from the moment that, from just before starting the company until you got acquired by LinkedIn, how different was the product, the end product versus your first couple of ideas?
Okay, so the real story.
You're supposed to say this is a great question.
This is a wonderful question. Thank you. A round of applause, please. So the real way Cardmunch started was actually very interesting. I actually walked into VC's office, actually a close friend of mine for a very long time, to tell him about this other company I'm going to start. It's actually on advertising. It's an advertising company. And he was so upset at me, he wouldn't even let me pitch to him the idea. Like, he literally said, "No, I don't want to even listen to your idea because you don't want to get into advertising. Because advertising is either you get big and make lots of money, or you be small and you die eventually." So he didn't want me to get into that. He's like, "Why don't you look into the problem of business card?" And I was like, perfect. Like, I know a lot about business card, but you are wrong. You have no idea. I used to work at Apple, so I know exactly how good the camera is. There's no way in hell you'll be able to read a business card through an iPhone. The camera is not good. We're looking into this. I know exactly what's going on, and it's not possible. And he just stared at me. He was like, "Can you read it?" I was like, "That's interesting. Never thought about that." And then I realized, oh my God, he invested in one of the largest crowdsourcing company. Crowdsourcing is a type of new work. So instead of computers, what you do is you let other humans, other people do the work for you. and we leveraged this platform called Amazon Mechanical Turk. It's like a platform of about, I guess, 500,000 users around the world that were willing to do work for pennies. So literally, what we would do, the idea is to actually ship our business card to these people around the world and have them write it down. And then no, over the internet, obviously. Send the image and have them help us transcribe because OCR is not good enough. And I was like, that's brilliant. And we can sell it for like, we can do it for a few pennies, and then we can resell it for, let's say, like 20 to 30 cents. And the really crazy part is that, hey, not every business card in the world is unique. After we do the first 1,000,000 business card, maybe we'll get like 30% of them being duplicates. And over time, eventually, less and less business cards are going to be unique. So our cost is going to be significantly lowered. And eventually, we'll be able to process all these business cards of the world for free. That's a brilliant idea. And this is when the guy said, if you want to do this idea, I'm going to invest in you today. Wow. So literally, that's how I got investment for Cardmunch on day 0.
That's good.
Very, very lucky. And the other way was to do my own company with no funding, with no support, and versus this guy who has been so experienced. He's such a mentor, advisor of mine. I was like, okay, I'll take your money.
Okay.
And you asked about the what was it before and after. Before, I had a lot of different features on this application because we're trying to change the world. We're trying to build the whole LinkedIn on top of this. Apparently, people don't really need that. And so when we got into LinkedIn, they literally took all our feature and threw it out of the window. And so we don't even need like a settings screen. You don't need anything. Just throw everything out of the window. Just be able to take a picture of a card and transcribe it. That's all you need. And that ended up helping us grow to a lot of users. I can't give you the exact number, but after that change, the application became a lot more intuitive, and a lot more people like it. So I guess the moral of the story is don't try to build every single feature. We did that. It was very stupid, and we took a lot of time, a lot of money. Just build the most basic feature, the MVP, and ship it out there because your customer is going to tell you what you really want. And surprisingly, they sometimes just want something really, really small.
And I also understand that your revenue model also changed. I mean, before LinkedIn, you tried to charge for the app plus the usage. Is that correct?
So before the LinkedIn acquisition, we used to charge about 25 to 33 cents a card. And the thinking is that as long as our price is going to be lower than that, we'll always make a profit. And over time, our cost is going to go down, and we're just going to make unlimited profits. That's the idea. But LinkedIn decided that we don't really need to worry about that because they have a lot of money. They said, let's just make the application free so we can give it to the world. So that's what we're doing right now. It's free application.
Okay. When you started the company, did you imagine that you would end up selling the company to a LinkedIn or similar company, or you were just more focused on developing revenues and so for the long run?
I think for any entrepreneur, you always have to think about your exit strategy because our life is very, very short. And the way I look at it, there's only a few years of your life you can do really crazy stuff. So we have to really spend our time wisely, and we always are looking for ways to exit. For us, the two exit opportunities are LinkedIn and Salesforce. Yeah. So one of the two companies would be interested in buying us down the line. And if they didn't buy us, our goal would be to build a business network on top of business cards. So it's like a LinkedIn, but in person LinkedIn. And with the business model I was telling you earlier, by lowering the cost, we can essentially do business card for free. And we think that would be a great way to build our own social network competing with LinkedIn. That's our long strategy if we didn't get acquired. But if somebody come by along the way and say, hey, we want to buy your company, we'll be like, yes, let's talk about it.
Yes, we're in for that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your partners? I mean, you were not alone in this journey. You had two other partners, co-founders. How did you meet them? How was the journey with them?
So for all of my companies in the past, my co-founders were my friends from school. Apparently, Carnegie Mellon has a lot of really good talents, and I just love to grab you from there. The reason why I picked my co-founder is he's not very good technically. In fact, we had to teach him how to code when he got on to the company. He's a mechanical engineer at all people. And the reason why I picked my co-founder is because he's one of those people that would not take no for an answer. He got rejected from the very famous Y Combinator program. You guys heard of that? Yeah, he was very disappointed, and all of his partners left him. And you know what he did? He's like, you know what? I don't know how to code, but I really want to build this company. So he hopped on the next airplane, and he went to India, where he hired a company, and he worked with them side by side, coders, designers, and then he built the application in India with his own money when there's absolutely no one else helping him. And he came back here and to pitch it to try to get money. It turned out to be a very bad idea. I was like,
don't worry, nobody's listening.
Sorry, Sid. I mean, it was very obvious that like after you pitch to 50 investors and everyone said, you know what, I don't think you can make money out of this. That's a problem. But having seen him doing all of that, I really like his passion. I really like his determination. He has nothing in his life that he cares about more than his company. And that's the type of people I want on my team. In my first company, the one that before this, actually a few before this, there are a lot of people working part-time. It's like, oh, I'll do 2 hours a day, like I'll help you out on the side. But you know, that doesn't really work. You want someone to be there with you 24/7, fighting the war with you, like be there to support you, like just mentally and like physically, just be there with you. And I saw that in him, and that's why I picked him as my co-founder. My other co-founder was actually an intern that we hired almost like near the beginning of our company. He is very unpolished when he first walked into the door, but something about him was just, I just liked, like something about his spirit, and he became like just a rock star developer. Just in like a few months, he learned how to program iPhone, he learned how to program Ruby on Rails, he picked everything up, and he just like the friendliest person, and I just loved the way he worked with all of us. So pretty soon, when his internship ended, he actually had a job in another company. We kind of just like locked him in my room and said, "You're not going anywhere."
He got a promotion.
He got a promotion, a very big promotion into the world of co-founder, and we can't be happier with this guy. We wouldn't be here without him.
Great. I want to check something with you. I read somewhere that it was before the acquisition by LinkedIn that you guys, after a meeting at LinkedIn, you went to the restaurant and you took food into your backpack. You sneak mac and cheese in your backpack. Is that? I was shocked. I mean, knowing you, I'm sure that was not yours.
Okay. Before this started, I was very poor. Okay, like most of the startup people. So we try to conserve. Okay, let me tell you this. Okay. This might not be funny because you guys don't have a store, but in America, there's a store called Costco. Have you guys heard of Costco before? Okay, Costco, for those that you don't know, it's a very big warehouse, and you go in there on a Saturday, and they have all the food samples, and you can eat it for free. That's where I would take my team for lunch on Saturdays, okay? Because there's nowhere else you can get cheaper food, a 12-course meal for free, okay? 12-course meal for free. Okay, and like that's our favorite thing to do on Saturdays. We work on Saturdays and Sundays. And then when we went to LinkedIn, LinkedIn is awesome. Okay, they provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they're awesome food. Like it's just great. My buddy at the food team, like he's one of my best friends. Like I'm actually on the food team at LinkedIn to help them scout for good food to bring into the company. That's how much I care about food. So when we got into the company for the first time, we're like, wow, you guys are so good. You have all this free food. And so one day we had like a meeting with the LinkedIn executive. And after the meeting, he walked us out of the room, right? Walked us out of the building. What we did was we walked around the campus and we walked back in to their office, and we proceed to start this, take food out of the fridge and putting it into our backpack. I mean, they're not gonna eat it anyway. They waste so much food, so like it'd be perfect for us because we're hungry. So that's like lunch for like a week. So we're like stealing food, okay? And then at the same time, the person who just talked to us, he was finishing work, he was going back to his desk to pack up, and he was about to leave, and he walked right into us. And my jaw just dropped to the floor, and I had absolutely no words. It was one of the most awkward moments in my life. And this guy, he paused for a second too, so I didn't know what he was gonna say. And all of a sudden, he just had the biggest smile on his face, and he's like, "You know what? Take everything. Take it all. That means you like us, and we love you for that. Take all the food here. Take some more." And he just gave us a whole bag of food, like we're beggars on the street. Like he just gave us everything in the fridge, and from that day on, I take that as a permission to give free food to the rest of the world because, you know, like it's a way to, if people like our food, they'll like our company, and they'll consider maybe joining our company one day. And you know what? To acquire these people for like a few boxes of food, that is so cheap. Okay, so I had the permission to give free food out to people, so I will always host people at LinkedIn. Like when I was working for a whole year there, I would take a whole company, like 13 people will come. Like, don't worry, free food for everybody. And I think I did LinkedIn such good PR because of it. So if you're ever in the Valley, go to LinkedIn for free food. I will help you guys get free food. Like you guys will love it, and maybe one day you work for them, so they will love you for that too.
Great story. So talking about LinkedIn, how did you start the conversations with them about a potential acquisition? Did you approach them directly as a potential acquirer, or did you, I don't know, find an excuse to get in touch with them and ask for feedback or something like that?
So we actually didn't want to talk to them. We were way too early in our company stage, and it was not the right time to talk to them. We were introduced to them. We met with them because we were at a meetup session, just like this, where there were some LinkedIn engineers. We were integrating with LinkedIn, and we were bitching to them about how their API is broken. And we actually got an argument with those guys on the spot. It's like, no, it's not working. It's not working. And through the argument, we actually earned their trust, and we actually earned their liking. So they told their manager, the manager told their manager, and eventually somebody from the corporate office. If you ever get a call from corporate development, corporate dev team, that means like they want to acquire you. Well, we didn't know that at the time. So we went in there for a meeting. We talked about the product, and talked about the partnership, and in like in a day or two, they actually came back to us and said, "Hey, are you guys interested in possible acquisition?" Why, yes. Why did Let's talk about that. That's how we got introduced to LinkedIn.
During that process, did you have any mentors, or were your investors supportive of the process? Did you have to negotiate with them, or were they for the deal?
So when you go through an acquisition process, it is the most important thing for you to find a good mentor, because you have no idea what the hell is going on. I had no idea what was going on. I had a little bit of idea, but really, like, I was pretty clueless. And there are a lot of information online, but having someone hold your hand and say, "It's okay, don't worry, they'll be fine." They said no, but they'll come back. Like, that's very, very important. So our deal was actually, they gave us a first deal, and we said no, flat out no. My co-founder wanted to say yes, and I was like no, and my investors say hell no. The second deal they put forward, they came back, you know, let's talk. And the second deal they came back, I was like, I think we should take it. My co-founder was like, yes, let's take it. And my mentor was like, I think we can get some more money. So we pushed back again. And the third time they came back, that's when we hit the like a goal. That's when we got like a, you know, a really, really, really good number, and we said, okay, now let's do this. So had we taken the first deal, it would have been like, I think, a third of the final price.
Wow.
And I wouldn't have known. I don't know what is the market rate. I don't know how to negotiate. So having a good mentor is absolutely critical. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people here that are like very good. So if you're looking through like something like this or negotiating with a VC, go talk to somebody, get some help. Don't sit in a room and trying to figure everything out by yourself. There's help out there.
Those mentors were mentors before the acquisition, or were you just starting going after new mentors for the process?
That mentor happened to be my VC, the VC that told me that I should even pitch him about the advertising startup. And he was the first investor, so he had a very good incentive to help us out. He ended up spending almost a whole month working with us just to close this deal, like full-time job for a whole month to close the deal. So there's a lot of work, and having that mentor is really helpful.
So what was the thing that changed the most after the acquisition? I mean, personally for you, in your life. You were poor before, now you have, I guess, a few bucks. But seriously, what was a major change in your life, if any?
Major change. Well, for the fortunate part is for a lot of companies, after you get acquired, they actually just take your product and they put it in the garbage can, and they say, okay, now work on something else. For us, we're actually kind of lucky, where LinkedIn kept the product alive and let us run with the product. The hard part for me personally was that back when I was the CEO of the company, I get to do everything. I get to do marketing. I get to do PR. I get to do like coding. I get to do like finance, accounting. I get to pitch to VCs. I get to go to talk to customers. I get to clean the toilet, whether I like it or not. But unfortunately, when I get into LinkedIn, the cleaning toilet job was taken.
Coffee making?
Coffee making was taken as well. And then, like, being the CEO, apparently this guy named Jeff Weiner, he's already got that role. I don't know. He didn't need help, though, so okay, fine. And pretty much all the roles were taken, and you were slotted into either a product or engineering. And to me, that was very awkward because I'm actually not very good at either one of them. I'm good at everything, like just for a little bit, but I'm not good at anything for a lot. So for me, it was very hard to be in that company, which is why after about a year and 9 months, I decided that I'm going to come out and do something else that I can fully leverage my skill set, which is go around the world and talk to random people.
Sounds like a cool job. So I was going to ask you a little bit more about the post-acquisition, because your little baby sort of graduated and now you went into corporate world. So from a very sentimental standpoint, from a feeling standpoint, how did you feel about the product, the company that you built, being just a tiny little part of a huge company? Did that affect you in any way, or you were just sort of detached?
For a while, actually, somebody actually wanted to change our company name, our product name, to something like LinkedIn Cards. I almost had a fist fight with it. It's like, this is my baby, you can't change it. This is our name.
It's not yours anymore.
No, it's not ours anymore. And then, but we put it, and we used to beg it, like, please don't. You can have anything you want. You can take out all the features. We're okay with it. But please give us our name. And in the end, they let us keep our name. So that's the only thing I can hold on to. But pretty much everything else in the product, there's somebody else that are gonna really come in and say, you should take this, you should do this, you should not do this. It's very, very hard for us to agree to that. But I think in the end of the day, it was for the better, because now there's a lot more Cardmunch users, a lot more happier. So I think it's hard, but it's one of those learning process that you just have to go through.
Good. If it's okay with you, I'd like to talk a little bit about failure. I don't know if you've noticed in Chile, Colombia, and in Argentina, failure in Latin America is sort of punished. From a cultural standpoint, we don't accept failure, and most of us who are in touch with Silicon Valley, we read a lot. We understand that failure is part of success, and there are many phrases, very, very well done, about failure being part of success, fail fast, and all that. I'm not sure if you're perfect or if you can share a little bit of your failures before your success.
I'm perfect.
That's what I was told.
No. I felt a lot, and actually, maybe I can go back a little bit and talk about my history. When I moved from China to the U.S., I didn't speak any English, so it's very hard for me to be in school with other kids. I actually didn't understand what was going on. My teacher just let me sit in the corner, so it's pretty tough few days. And going to high school, I was one of the really bad students. You can say I was a failure back then. But over time, I just got better and better, and eventually, by the time I graduated, I was one of the best kids in the school. That's how I got into Carnegie Mellon University. But when I got into Carnegie Mellon University, I realized everyone is smarter than me because that's the minimum bar. I barely met the minimum. I barely made it. So when I got into Carnegie Mellon, I fell back down again. Again, I was a failure. I had a 2.7 GPA. For those that don't know, that's about B to C average. And
it's 2.7 out of 4.
Yeah, 2.7 out of 4. It sounds pretty big, but it's really bad.
Doesn't sound good.
It was so bad that I couldn't get an interview. I went to talk to 50 companies in the beginning. They wouldn't even talk to me. No, not a single person messaged me back because they're like, it was such a bad grade. Why would I talk to you? But it's okay. I know I was bad in high school, but as long as I work twice as hard as everybody else, eventually I will go up. And for the people who are used to be on top, and they get complacent, they get tired, they stop working, so eventually they'll go down. And eventually, at some point, I'll cross. So I just kept on working harder than everybody else. So by the time I graduated at Carnegie Mellon, I had a 4.0 GPA. So that was almost second nature to me now. It's like, okay, that's pretty easy. And going into Silicon Valley, again, I was a failure because I don't know anybody. I don't know how to do anything. But it's okay because I'm used to it. I'm used to being the worst person in the world. And all I have to do is work harder than everybody else. And eventually, I'll get up there. And I've been working for, I guess, 7 years now in the Valley. And I think I'm one of the maybe like 500 people who have exited in the Valley. So I will put myself in the top 10 percentile. And I think if I keep on doing what I'm doing, eventually I'll be on top again. So I'm used to being the really bad person. Like I'm used to failing. But it's okay. It's okay because there's always going to be people that's smarter than you, better than you. And if you don't know how to handle failure and treat it correctly and know how to work through it, you're not going to succeed in the crazy world of startups, especially in the world of startups, because we're all fighting for our lives here. And if you don't know how to handle being the bottom 10 percentile and work your way up, you're not going to make it. You should probably just go home right now. So learn how to fail first, and then worry about doing a big company.
So you're now on a crazy tour around the world, 9 months, right?
Yeah.
World Startup Report. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're trying to achieve with that and why you started it? Is this a business? Are you trying to make money out of this? You're giving back? Come on, give it to me.
The real deal?
Real deal.
The down low?
Yeah, not the website, just the website.
Okay. About a year and a half ago, I was in China. Why was I in China? Because the US economy was not doing so well. And apparently, we owe a lot of money to China. So maybe if I need to get a job in China, I should probably get to know our overlord a little bit better. And I actually didn't know anything about China, even though I was born in China, especially the tech scene that is foreign to me. So having a little bit of fame from selling a company, I wanted to leverage it to go back to China and talk to some of the entrepreneurs there, understand what's going on. So I reached out to my 500 startups network, and within, I think, a week, I got like 100 introductions to all sorts of people in China. It was great. I got to talk to the small entrepreneurs and then people who have exited for billions and billions of dollars and everything in between, the journalists, the lawyers, and I got this really interesting view of what China is all about. So when I came back, I wanted to thank all of my friends. So I wrote a report called the China Startup Report. And then I put it on the internet actually I email out to my friends, and then people don't like to receive PDFs, so I put it on something like SlideShare, and then email out to them at 2 o'clock in the morning. And by the time I woke up at 8 the next day, it was the most popular slide on the internet that day. And right now, it has, I think, over 100,000 views on SlideShare alone. But what it doesn't tell you is that when 5 p.m. the next day hit, the Chinese people, just like the way I described them in my slides, they'll steal everything you have. They stole my slides and republished it in every single major media on the internet. So there was probably another like few 100,000 views on the Chinese people's side that I can't really count because they stole my stuff. But it's okay. It's okay. I'm expecting it. To prove my point. So all of a sudden I became like this expert on China, and then I've gotten like hundreds emails, 1,000 emails like from people just saying like, "Wow, I love what you're doing. Like, tell me more." Maybe you can. Some of the Indian people were very upset at me. It's like, so what? India is just like that. Why did you write about India? And then some people, oh, I want to write about Brazil. I want to talk about like all these other places, and they want me to help, but I can't do it because I was still working for LinkedIn. So I just put it aside and figured that somebody else is gonna take my success and do it for all the other countries. And surprisingly, no one did. No one did. And to this day, like the China Starter Report is still the only resource out there if you want to know about everything in, like, from the market to the opportunities, the challenge, like the policies, the talents, like this whole wide range of information in one simple report. That's still the only place you can find it. So when I left LinkedIn, I had a choice to start my next company, or I had a choice to take a vacation, travel around for a little bit. Everyone asked me to travel, but I didn't want to do it because I felt like I was wasting life. So I said, you know what? Maybe I'll just do the World Startup Report. I'll just go to a few countries and then write about what's happening in those other places, just like the way I did in China. So I reached out again to my 500 Startups network, and I told them, hey, I'm thinking about doing this project. Within 2 weeks, I was invited to go to 50 different countries through my network. So I was like, wow, like this is crazy. And this is a lot bigger than I thought it would be. So my original plan of just doing a few months traveling around turned into this almost like a year-long project. I'm now traveling for 9 months to 29 countries and 36 cities. And looks like it's just the beginning.
You plan to write about all those 36 cities?
Yes, I'm actually thinking about writing a report for each country. In fact, we have just completed the India startup report, so we can appease all the people who complain about India. And I can tell you right now, it is nothing like China. Nothing like China.
The jury's still out. We'll see about that.
So we are going to release this report next Tuesday. We will be speaking at the Global Entrepreneurship Congress in Rio, and then we're going to do a big release, and hopefully you guys will read about it on TechCrunch or something. So afterward, we'll go country by country, and we will love to write a report for Argentina as well, because there's a lot of really interesting stuff that's happening here. So if you're interested in helping us write this report, come talk to us. We'll love to get your help on this.
So you've been to Chile, Colombia. I'm trying to focus on Latin America.
Sure.
You've been to Chile, Colombia, and
Peru, mm-hmm.
Now Argentina, and then a few days you're going to Brazil.
Yes.
So I guess the report is not finished yet, but is there anything any key learnings or something that struck you as different from other places? And also, if you can give any specific feedback, sort of raw feedback, direct, straightforward for founders.
Maybe I can just give you a one-line description of each country in my perspective. The first country I visited was Colombia, and Colombia is usually pretty scary to the American people. I was very scared to go there, but when I landed, I just saw a completely different world. So I think the best way to describe Colombia is that it is a lot more than I expected, but it is a lot less than what it should be. I hope you guys understand that. Like, to Americans, oh my God, there's startups here. That's amazing. There's a lot of them actually.
There's cars and computers.
Yeah.
No horses.
No horses. And like, there's no drug lords on the street. It's such a beautiful country. Have you guys been to Medellin? It's awesome. Like,
so you've been to Bogota and Medellin?
Medellin, like Bogota, and especially in the city of Medellin, the government is doing some amazing stuff. They're putting 40% of their money, GDP, into education. 40%. US we do 3% and more. Because they're investing in fishing and then all the other things and trying to say that's startup, that's not startup. So they're facing a tough time. But the good news is that unlike all the developed countries, Peru is actually going through hyper growth right now. So if you can sustain, if you can live with the craziness, there's bound to be something happening in that country because the country is growing so fast economically. So that's the one saving grace for Peru. Chile, on the other hand, is probably the most surprising out of all of the startups, out of the country I've been to so far. And we were there just a few days ago, actually yesterday, and we love that country. Chile is doing so well right now, and Startup Chile is one of the best things that ever happened to the country. And especially the fact that when I asked them, if everything goes perfectly in a few years, where do you see the Startup Chile program going? And the executive director of the program, Horatio, he said, if everything goes well in 5 years, Startup Chile wouldn't be here anymore. We would destroy it. We will let it go because we wouldn't need a program like this. And we have people like that who's willing to give up their baby for the ecosystem to do the right thing. Something good is going to come out of it. So I look forward to that. And I've only been here for about a day so far, so I can't really comment on Argentina. But I have some ideas.
But any feedback in general for the founders? I mean, many people talk here about making it to Silicon Valley. And some people do. I mean, you know Diego Bash, for example, and he made it, and he sold his company to LinkedIn. But that's not usually the case. So, and we were talking during lunch time today about why most people want to go to Silicon Valley, and why would an investor from Silicon Valley be interested in investing in companies from Latin America? So, do you have any ideas about that? How difficult or how feasible it is for companies here to make it to Silicon Valley? Does it make sense? Many other questions.
Personally, I think it's tough for you guys to make it to Silicon Valley. And the reason being that, for I guess maybe not this crowd, but for most of the people here, they don't speak the same language. I think it's a lot easier for a country like Australia that have the common language, that have the common culture, that have the very good immigration policy to go to a country like America and try to make it out there. For you guys, it's a little bit harder, but it's doable. It's very much doable. And I told somebody at the lunch today, and then I said, all of you guys can pass for a Silicon Valley entrepreneur. If you really go there, you'll be a Silicon Valley entrepreneur, because we would not point to you and say, you're from Argentina, you're from Colombia, because we can't tell. Like, everyone is from somewhere else. So if you really want to make it go out there, it's fine, you can do it. But I can tell you, the competition is going to be a lot worse in that place. Right here, you have very few companies, a lot of open opportunities for small companies. I'm talking about sub $50 million company. Well, here it might be a little bit mid-sized company. If you want to do a $1 billion company, there's no doubt you have to go somewhere else. But if your goal is to get your feet wet, do something small, and then try to earn like a small exit and learn how to do things before you tackle your big idea, I think there are still a lot of opportunities here.
Okay, I think we have 10 more minutes left, or 15, and I want to save some time for questions. So, what's next for you? I mean, you're going to be traveling for the next few months. Do you know what's next? I mean, is it another company? Are you going to the dark side and becoming an investor? Do you know what's next?
I'm probably going to be an investor at some point in my life, but probably not immediately, because I can do that anytime I want. Like, I can be 50 years old and I can still do that. I can only be an entrepreneur for so many years of my life because my health is like deteriorating. not eating and not sleeping and then always traveling and doing crazy things, it takes a toll on your body. So I will probably do something, maybe another company. But in the meantime, I'm focusing on the World Startup Report because I do see a huge potential with this project. I feel like I can help a lot of people around the world by telling them what are the opportunities in each country. And in addition to that, I want to create this network of ambassadors in each country. So if people like you guys want to go to Silicon Valley, instead of you not knowing anything at all and hitting your head against the wall and having a crash landing in Silicon Valley, hopefully you'll have a softer landing. You have a guidebook that tells you what are the startups there that you should look at, what are the incubators, who are the investors, where do you find them, what are the opportunities, what's the culture like. Have like this guidebook and have people on the ground welcome you to Silicon Valley. And vice versa, if somebody wants to come here and then see what are the opportunities in this place, I hope you guys can also open your arms and welcome the other people to come here as well. And in my opinion, once people start sharing ideas, sharing knowledge, something good is going to come out of it. I don't know what yet, but I feel like some of the simple opportunities, like I'm doing something called the innovation, commodity innovation map, where I list out 25 business models that I think is going to work in every country. I believe every country needs a dating application. Everyone needs to find a date. Okay, everyone needs to find a house. You need to find a car. You need to find food. These are very basic things, and simple things like that. I want to show you what's done in this country, what's not. And if no one is doing a dating application here, someone from the U.S. might want to come here and help you build this. Or if you see there's nothing in Colombia for finding the best food, then maybe you can go there and help them build this. And showing them what the opportunities are there and help people make these exchange a lot easier. I think maybe you can help create a few companies or a few hundred companies in the world. And if you can do that, that's a huge positive impact I can make on this world. And I'll be very, very happy just doing that for the next year or two.
Sounds like a plan. You just mentioned collaboration, being more open, and I think many people talk about how to replicate Silicon Valley outside of Silicon Valley. I think that's not possible at all. But if there's a few things we need and we should be copying from Silicon Valley, and one of them is collaboration. So we as a culture in Latin America in general, we don't tend to be very open and collaborative. We're offering our 2 cents to change that slowly, and having people like you commenting on that and sharing experiences, I think it's going to be great for the ecosystem. So thank you for that. So anything else you want to share before we go to Q&A? Questions? So no.
Hola. I have a question.
I can answer in Spanish as well. So.
Okay.
This is going to be fun.
I'm Angie. I have a question related to what you said at the end of how good an ecosystem with sharing as a culture is. But there's this kind of weird case that is Apple, where you worked, and you mentioned you worked on the iPhone when it started. So can you tell us a little bit more how it was like? Apple is famous for creating some of the most creative and disruptive products. At the same time, when it comes to sharing and collaboration and knowledge, they're exactly the opposite. I've learned from people who work on iPad that there's even close for the people inside Apple, and no one knows, and they're very even, restricted within the company. So how does, nonetheless, they were able to create these amazing products. So how would you compare that to the other experience of sharing and collaboration? You were in both worlds.
All yours.
Okay, Apple is different. Apple is really, really different. There's a person called Steve Jobs. He's kind of visionary. He's like a man from the future. He sees things, and he has this guy named Johnny Ive that takes his vision and make it into a product that people would just love to buy, no matter what it is. They make an iPad, a big iPad, is like, this is the perfect thing, I'll buy it. They make a small, oh my god, I have to get a small one too. They make everything perfect. But you don't get that anymore. And as you can see right now, Apple is actually on a slowly downward trend. And so once in a while, you run into amazing, revolutionary people that can have vision and they just need a team to execute. That works. But there's about one Steve Jobs every like a billion people. So let's not try to follow that model. But yes, it was very secretive in the company. I was sitting next to my desk mate, it's far away. He didn't know what I was working on for like a good part of the summer. Yeah. And but now coming to on the other side, you can answer it.
Where's my mom? Saying hi.
On the other side, like sharing, I think is great. Like you always share to help other people out when they are in need, because you never know when they'll help you in return. It's called karma. It works really, really well. So when I was doing pretty well with my Instagram company, let's answer that question.
It's gonna be a minute.
We'll take a picture. We'll take a picture. Everyone look at him.
Sisi. Yes, we are open. Yes. No delivery.
My mom. So when I was doing pretty well with one company, I ended up helping out this tiny little company, a friend of mine, and I would just go there and help them out for random things, and then I would go there and bring them like a fruit juice because I know they're hungry. Every startup company is hungry. Feed them once in a while, they'll love you for it. And I think over just a period of few months, they started doing really well. And then the next thing I know, they were one of the largest developer on the iPhone platform. Out of, I don't know, like 250,000 applications, they were one of the largest gaming developer at one point. They were making, I don't know, like a few $100,000 a day. And they ended up just growing the company a whole lot. In fact, they grew so big that when I was doing my second company, Cardmunch, they ended up giving us a room in their office building. They had a building, and they gave us a room inside the building. I said, yeah, don't worry, you can just stay here. You help us so much, and we just want to help you out as well. And I didn't know how to do anything, and they were the ones that taught us how to use all the new technology at the time. Ruby on Rails was new, and they're the ones that taught us how to code. They're like, oh, you should use this, you should do that. So they're the ones that ended up teaching us how to do everything, even though I was their mentor just less than a year before that. And I would have never gotten such great advice from these people if I didn't help them, just helping them here and there a year before. And karma comes back in a big way, and I truly believe in that. And this trip that I'm doing right now, I'm spending a lot of money, a lot of time to help other people. But I do believe somehow, somewhere, like something is going to come back and then it's going to help me in the way that I'm least expecting. So you know what? Just do the right thing, and then you'll be surprised.
Amen to that. Any other question? Oh, come on, people, don't be shy. Oh, you can ask your questions in Spanish, and Nora can translate. No?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're done. So we're going to have some networking and drinks. Maybe not necessarily in that order. Do you have a question?
I want to figure out Apple is going down. As Apple is going down, what we're talking about, do you think that's because it's coming next to
The world?
The world?
or is that because Samsung is going on very well in their life?
Samsung, Steve Jobs.
If Steve Jobs was still here, Samsung wouldn't even sell an iPhone, wouldn't even sell like a cell phone. He will sue Samsung so hard that like they wouldn't even sell a phone. I mean, that's an exaggeration. I think what Apple needs is like an innovation at this point. They're not innovating anymore. They're taking an iPhone and making it slightly bigger. They're taking an iPad, making it slightly smaller. That's not really innovation. So unless they can do some crazy stuff, maybe Apple TV, the real TV or something, I think it's going to be very hard for them to grow. And unfortunately, it takes a lot of effort to do something like that. And you need someone up top that's a visionary to do something like that. And I think Tim Cook is a great person running the company. He's not a big visionary. So that's why I think Apple is on their way down in the world, unfortunately. Because I love the company.
So just going off of that, I was on Nashville the other day and they came out saying that Apple was going to introduce iWatch. Have you like checked that out or visited it at all? No,
They're not going to do iWatch.
Yeah, it seems like a really dumb idea and I'm actually profit. Basically like the iPhone but on a tiny little screen and we're at risk.
I really don't think they're going to do that. So even if they do that, I don't think it's big enough market to actually make the company. They need to have the next iPhone to keep going for the next 5 years. And and what is the next big thing that can change everyone's life? It's not going to be a watch. So even if they make it, it won't matter.
Yeah, you have a hardware startup.
Yes.
And so what do you think about hardware and taking hardware as a startup?
Don't do it.
Can you be more clear about that?
Let me be a little bit more clear. Don't do hardware. It's so hard. That's why it's called hardware. Okay, let me tell you.
Don't you think like there's like not enough room for software? More like the earth is getting connected. There's like only internet going on.
Read my World Startup Report, and then you'll see how much opportunity is in the software world. And the reason why you don't want to go into hardware right now is because hardware is very hard to do. And for you to make a product, the steps I had to do was making a prototype, design the circuit, making a prototype, test out the circuit works, and then afterward I had to hop on the airplane, go to China, and then find some designer in China to actually design the things, put in nice packaging, and then go into one of the really shady factories, and then getting those workers to make like prototypes, like plastic injection, molding, and learning all the techniques, and making sure the quality stays high. And once you do that, you have to negotiate contract with the Chinese people. It's just a very, very, very painful process. It takes months and months, and you will not know if this is a good product that will sell until you spend all of your money. And if it is a good product that will sell, all of a sudden they're going to want like 100 times more, and for you to meet that demand, you need to go and redo this entire process, and that will take another few months, and by then, they might not want it anymore. So it's very hard to predict the demand, whereas software, you can build it in a weekend and try it out in a lean startup way and know exactly what you're doing. So it's a lot cheaper for you to build a software company than for you to build a hardware company. A lot cheaper, and you only have a limited amount of time in your life, a limited amount of money, which is why I suggest you to do something simple first. And once you make your first few $1 million, then you can go. Like I might do a hardware startup. Actually, I don't think I'm rich enough to do hardware. Maybe another like $100 million later, I'll do a hardware startup. My dream is to become Iron Man. Have you guys seen the movie? Tony Stark. Like I want to have like a giant corporation. Let's do random things, and then I don't really care about that. All I do is I lock myself on one floor, and I can make also a crazy gadget myself because I'm a gadget guy, and that would be my dream. So that's hardware, but I won't do it until I have a lot more money. Hope that makes sense. Don't do hardware.
Isn't that Elon Musk?
Yeah, he has a lot of money apparently.
So, any closing statement? And if you don't have any, you can just put a zero space and say. Okay, think before you go to the bathroom. I don't know.
I want to go back to the point of failures. I failed a lot in my life. And then there's a story that I didn't get a chance to tell earlier. Is how I actually got into the company Apple. I was the guy that tried to go hand my resume to Apple, and they told me no, you're not smart enough for Apple. I tried and tried. The person just would not let me interview at Apple. It was very, very upsetting. But deep down inside, I knew I wanted to work for Apple. Like one day, literally, I woke up and I was like, I want to be like person making the next iPod. I want to be that person. Like, this is the coolest company. I would not take no for an answer. So I decided it's okay for me to fail. And I looked up a whole database of all my schools alone for all, I don't know, like 60, 70 years, 100 years. And then I found every single person from my school that has ever worked for Apple, past or present. And what I did was I stalked every one of them, like a crazy boyfriend on my girlfriend. Like I stalked everyone on where they work, what they like, and then I wrote personalized email, long email, to every one of them, begging for an opportunity just to interview at Apple. I must have sent out like 100 emails, and only one of them said, okay, I'm walking back to my car right now, you can come and talk to me. And during the few minutes I went to walk with him, I had made good enough of an impression that he said, okay, I'll put you in touch with some of my really good friends at Apple. And this guy ended up calling me, and our, like, I don't know, half-hour conversation turned into like an hour and a half conversation. And I told him that, you know, I might not be the smartest person, but if you hire me, I'll be the hardest working person you'll ever meet in your life. And apparently that was enough to convince him. And 40 minutes later, just 40 minutes later, I got a call from Apple saying you're hired. And that's how I got into Apple. And I would have never gotten there if I didn't accept that I will fail 99 times before by writing those silly emails and getting rejected. So in a way, I think everybody in the room has an equal chance of being lucky. I think Cardmunch is lucky. I think all the things I do in life is all luck. Okay, and everybody has an equal chance of being lucky, about 1% chance. What it means is that if you just try 100 times, you fail 99 times, statistically, you're going to win once. You're going to get lucky once. I'm not a very smart person. I can't do it better. So that's sort of my strategy in life. And I want to do something, and somebody said no, I just try it again. And I try it again and again. And somehow I always find a way to get lucky. So I hope you guys look beyond failures and accept failure for what it is and shake it off and okay, let me try again. And hopefully, after you try your 99th time, I hope you guys can get lucky as well. So thank you for coming, and good luck. Good luck. And another round of applause for this awesome person here at NXTP Lab. And Nora, thank you all.
So now drinks, networking. Stick around. Thank you, guys. No, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for being so easy on me.
Yeah, you look like a nice guy. So. What harassment?